It's an absolutely gorgeous day here in the Carolinas, and as always, I'm so glad to see it. I do hope everyone is well as always, and that you too are able to get out and enjoy this beautiful day the Most High is giving us. I'm in a slightly different location today. I'm out here in the woods of Carolina, not where I was raised, but where my mother was raised, and just enjoying my roots, I guess you could say. We actually had like a family reunion on my mother's side yesterday, and it was a surprise because we come to see my mother and ended up her side of the family was having a whole live family reunion, and it was absolutely wonderful. And like the new saying I have, it was a grand opportunity for us to reconnect with our roots. And that's exactly where my thought of today is lending itself to. Little foxes spoil. And of course this idea is taken from Song of Solomon 2:15. Take us the foxes, the little foxes that spoil the vines, for our vines have tender grapes. And as I begin to study this idea and the thought in this script, I looked up basically what foxes do and how would they spoil the vines. And in the text, my definition of what foxes eat, I saw that they not only are expert hunters, that they chase down rabbits, small animals. They even dig for earthworms, but they also like fruit. And as I continued to study, I saw that they like digging by the roots of those trees, those fruit trees and vines. But they like to dig. They're like most dogs like to dig. But they like to dig around the roots. And one idea said they like to gnaw on the roots. And I thought that was kind of odd. But at the same time, it's just what they do. It's their nature. And see, the Most High put me in mind of this thought about the small things in our lives that can spoil. And as one text says, Psalms 19:12, who can discern his errors? Declare me innocent from my hidden faults. See, it's those hidden things, those small hidden sins that we try to cover up. And like I was saying, one text says that they can become larger to where they would affect many. And see, I thought about that when my brother we was having a conversation about how what we do affects many people. How at the end of the day, our actions has consequences, not just for ourselves, but for the people around us. And that reminded me of when the Most High told me one time, he was like, people are always watching you. Be careful, because people are always watching you. And you never know where they're at. But where I got this thought from was, well, where the thought initiated from was, my wife wanted to go out last night to the parking lot where we're at, here in my mother's place of residence. And I was like, well, I don't feel like it. I pulled another muscle in my back. Well, I pulled the same muscle in my back on Thursday. And no, I'm not upset about it. I just come to realize that it's just like with Paul, with that little thorn that was in his side. I come to realize it's basically the same. The Most High allowed it. I'm doing everything I know to do right. And it just happened. But anyway, she wanted to go out to the car here in this small community where we're at. I can't really call it a town, but that's basically what it is, a small town. And I'm like, as a husband, I'm like, I don't want you going out there by yourself. So I did hobble to the door and sat on the porch and was watching her. And as a husband, I'm scanning the area to see who's out at that time of the night because it was late, like 11. And some dude was going back into his home, and he was like, gotta be careful out here. And I said, she all right? He didn't see me sitting on my mother's porch. I said, she all right? Then he's talking about, well, there's foxes out here, telling her there's foxes out here. And he went on into the house. And what he said was true about foxes being out here. But at the same time, he didn't see her covering. He was trying to sneak in as a little fox, trying to stir up a conversation to see where that conversation might lead into other things, hopefully, I guess you would say. But see, that's how we are. We already have somebody watching over us. We already have our covering, the Most High. And he's warning us now of the foxes that's trying to come in, that's trying to sneak in and spoil. And most of the time it's by our doing. It's what we're holding on to that we need to release and let go, them secret sins. But I just enjoy this grounding. It's like one of my elder friends, he sent me a recording about grounding. And that's where you take your shoes off and sit out in the in nature, on the lawn. And really basically it was like, it doesn't matter what kind of ground it is as long as you're putting your feet to the ground. And basically what we're doing this weekend, we're reconnecting with our roots. And it has to do with, just like when you ground the wire so that the energy coming in through it won't be too much for the object that the energy is coming through. So you need to be grounded. And see, that's how the Most High is with us. He wants us to stay grounded in Him and on what's more important, that root, the Word. What He's already said about us and where He's taken us. Pardon me. I had a cranberry. My mother is so health conscious. She basically is trying to get us all to drink a cranberry juice. And we all wanted coffee this morning. So to appease her, I had a cranberry juice first. And then I came back afterwards and had my coffee. But just gave me a little gas. But I do enjoy coming home. It's been a long time coming. And as I was saying in yesterday's recording, which I hadn't posted, I was like asking my family, when have we all been together? In one place. And we all sat there and was trying to remember. And the first thing we have a tendency to do is think about who died. Because that seems to be the time where we were all back together. When someone passed. And we still haven't resolved that question or come to an answer or a definitive answer as when we were all together before. And I said, well, it's all good. We're here together now. For a good reason. My mother made the call. And see, like my sister was telling me, and I hadn't even thought of it this way, she was like, my mother is the type of individual who's on it. She's going to be the one to initiate everything. She's going to initiate the call. and she's going to initiate the visits. And a lot of times they're not welcome. Yeah, I know she ain't gonna like this, but that's who she is. She's like, I'm the one that makes the move. I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna be the mother. I'm gonna show up. And there's nothing wrong with that, but a lot of times in our, how do you say that? In our grownness, we don't want the mother at the time, or we don't want the father. We want to walk it out ourselves. We want to be grown. But she was like, over this last year, she hadn't seen our mother in a whole year. And she was like, that's so not like my mother. And my mother, from her, back here in our area, or neck of the woods, she's only like 45 minutes, a 45-minute drive away. And see, my sister started questioning that. It's like, you know, that's very odd for my mother not to drive right over here every other weekend to come see about me. And since this COVID thing started, she was like, it's been like a year since she's seen him. And with me, it's been like 2 years. My brother's a floater, so he's coming through and checking and seeing everybody, even during the pandemic, supposed pandemic. But I was just saying that because she made the call to where she wanted to do something special for all of us to come together. And it was just a perfect weekend. It's Father's Day. We all had a born day this month. So they still celebrate birthdays. But I figure like this, what an opportunity to come together and see my family. And it's, like I said, it's new beginnings. It's regrounding myself and regrounding to my start, my roots. And like I said, we're like 45 minutes away in my mother's hometown. She came back here after she retired to live where she was raised, amongst her family and friends. And it's always good to get back to what and I really feel that that's what the Most High is calling us to today, to reground ourselves. And back to the thought I had about the foxes. And there were foxes out here. There are foxes out here. My mother told me that when we first came out. And I come and sit out on the back porch and just pray and meditate, spend time with the Most High. And I saw some containers out to where they had been feeding animals. My mother feeding animals. Little cats, foxes, whatever else would eat it. I'm like, what are you feeding the animals for? But, you know, you can't tell a grown person what they should or should not be doing. But just to be careful and not let the little foxes in the house to where they would spoil what you got going on. And you wouldn't have to worry about secret sin or sin at all. And that's where he's calling us to today. Just like I have been doing a study about going up to the mountain. How the Most High didn't choose everybody to go up to the mountain to reveal himself to them. He only chose the 3 disciples, the closest ones to the Most High. And he said, come on up, I need to show y'all something. And see, when I started studying that thing, I saw that in him calling them up, everybody couldn't have made that trip. Because you're going up a mountain. And see, everybody couldn't handle the mountain climb. As well as they couldn't handle the revealing. It would have probably blew to some of them mind, or some of them hearts at the same time, physically. They would have probably had a heart attack. But see, he revealed himself to those that he knew could handle it, and to those he needed to see himself, who he really was, after he took off that covering of that physical body, and said, "This is who I am," just like he showed himself to Moses. He couldn't show himself completely to Moses. He could just show himself a part of himself. But it was the same experience with Moses. He took him up to a mountain, to a higher place, to a higher level. And in order for us to go up to that higher level, we need to drop off some things. We need to release some things. And it's all about praying and asking the Most High to reveal to you your faults. Reveal to me where I'm missing the mark. You see, I'm in the country. Everybody speak to everybody around here. But yeah, it's up to us to initiate the change. And that's just like my word for today. It's called abrupt. Abrupt. Characterized by or involving action or change without preparation or warning. Sudden, unexpected. Rudely or unceremoniously curt. Giving the impression of being cut or broken off, especially involving a sudden steep rise or drop. And see, that's what we're talking about. Involving a sudden steep rise. Going up the mountain. And see, in order to go up a mountain also, it's going to be a new atmosphere. See, the Most High didn't call folks up that he knew couldn't breathe that air. He called folks up that had already been trained in walking in that higher level, in that higher atmosphere. See, he had to train them boys to come up there with him. See, they used to slide off with him in prayer. And he had to ask them one time, well, couldn't you stay awake with me for an hour? But yeah, that was after, but still, my point was that it's a higher level if he's calling us to. And see, just like me and my sister were just talking, we have to initiate our secret place. Finding our secret place and activating. Like my thought was for Thursday or Friday, Thursday. Find your secret place and activate it. That means get used to the Most High's voice speaking to you. And then you'll be able to hear him from all the time. And you'll be able to do and say what he have you to do and say all the time. Just like we was talking about being a witness to him or for him. And see, I was telling her I don't even make no attempt to try to witness anybody in my faith. I don't. I just do what he tell me to do. And when I do what he tell me to do, it just flows naturally. And before you know it, we're having a whole live conversation about him and what I believe. But when I try to initiate my beliefs or initiate a witnessing or initiate handing off tracts, then it's not organic. And it's definitely not, what's the word? It's not really from the heart. To me, I think it's like a show. But that's going to be my time. Little foxes spoil. That little secret sin, or them little secrets that you hold on to, they spoil. Just like the Most High has definitely been showing me the analogies of plants and gardening lately. And it's just like you let one little weed in your garden, the next thing you know, it has grown exponentially. And it's hard to get weeds out when they've just taken over. So you gotta go in there with that hoe and dig them out from the root. Get them out of there, because they're trying to root down to your plant's roots. Because that's where the nutrients are. Or that's where the transfer from the soil from the plant is. So they're trying to cut off that transfer it and steal it from the plant. And you would think they would grow their own root system and grow from the ground themselves, but they like to be like leeches, sucking off of what is already established. The Most High is always calling us higher. And like me and my sister was just talking, He's always calling you to that mountain experience where He can reveal Himself to you in a different facet. He's calling you higher every day. And see, I kept expressing that to her. It's a daily thing. It's a daily thing. And I say it every day. I got to have it every day. I can't make it without it. I'm at a point now where I realize, okay, I've been going through this physical challenge, which everybody has in their lives. We all have done the partying. And I saw it yesterday with the younger generation trying to sneak alcohol. And I said to myself, they must think we should, like we don't see them. We've done it all. We've done it all, but out of respect, they're still trying to do it on the sneak. Or at the same time, they feel guilty themselves because they heard the conversation we was having while they was trying to sneak off and see. It's always that time, once we start talking about the word, folks want to go and use go get their medicine to cover up what they feel inside, that guilt. But it's up to us individually to come up higher and release. Just like I was saying, when you go up higher, you have to breathe thinner air. And a lot of times you have to take off some clothes. You have to leave some gear behind. You can't take them things that you would usually take with you on a regular journey. Well, what did that mean to say? Abrupt. Giving the impression of being cut or broken off, especially involving a sudden steep rise or drop. See, that's what we want. We want that rise. We want to go up. And see, He's calling us to that daily. But like this word says, we have to cut off things. And it has to be abrupt. We can't play around with it. Cut that sin off. Like the text says, lay aside every weight. That's a good idea. That's a good thought. It's so easily besetting you. See, you can't carry weights up a mountain. It has never been known in history where an individual has carried weight up a mountain. No, they worked out on the lower level with the weights. So when it's time to go up, they let the weights go. So they'll be stronger in this process of going up the mountain. But that's a good thought. Like I said, I'm going to let it go. And I'm going to continue to enjoy my weekend with my family, getting grounded in who I am and whose I am and where I come from. I pray y'all stay up and have a good day. Stay focused. Stay up and keep pushing forward in the right direction. Shalom.